want to see how our council feels. Yeah, so it wasn't.
My question is, the stove over there, they planned on using it, needed suppression. What's the superintendent's office up there?
So there's no stove in the superintendent's office at this point in time, and they're going to look into that on their end as well. But if we have a stove, the school department will take care of that. At least the fire suppression.
Really?
We're at that point right now. They're going in, their risk management's going in on Monday to review the property, and we're going to have those questions answered as well.
Just because those suppression systems are
Huge.
really expensive.
Yeah, very expensive.
What's the level of us, our rec department taking care of things here too?
Well, as you know, right now, the seniors want to run their own program. You know, I mean, this is something that they're modeling this after the Richmond program. They've got a senior center down there. It's self-governed by the people who are part of the organization. Town has very little involvement in it. You know, I mean, these are adults, and they know what they want. They're asking that we don't come up with programs for them. They like to develop their own programs. If you haven't had a chance to go on the Richmond's website, I would recommend you seeing that. They've got quite a bunch of stuff for these people to do. They have bake sales, they have yoga classes, they have all kinds of fun stuff. You know, and I think that's where they're trying to take this. And there's a need in this community for it, and I fully support what they're trying to do.
Dylan?
I'm 100% in favor of doing a program for the senior population of the town, and I think there are a lot of things that we can be doing, but I'm very cautious and a little bit nervous about an open-ended, we have no idea what the plan is. And I guess before we move forward, I'd like to know, is this 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day? Who is the responsible person? What kind of activities? Who's allowed to go to the activities? I think it's great to do it. I think it's great. But I think we need a little bit more reassurance that there's something in there that we can endorse.
I can answer a couple of those questions. For one thing, as far as who's able to go to this is going to be open to 5 communities that are part of RSU 18. Now, obviously, people are going to travel from China over. Nobody's going to be checking IDs at the door. There's going to be an age requirement. I believe that age requirement is going to be 60 years old. You know, so
I'm in.
I'm sure I'm
Just missed it.
Just 60. You didn't say 61.
So they've established a board of directors. You know, so as far as their oversight committee, they've got a group of people on board. They've been advertising this all over the town of Oakland, including the town office. It's a startup venture. I don't think there's a lot of risk involved. I mean, we're looking at an $1,800 commitment from the town of Oakland to buy them 6 months worth of time up there. We can sit down and reassess mid-June or whatever to figure out where we want to move after that. If this thing flops, then obviously there's no commitment for us to move forward on that. In my opinion, I think we ought to go and allow them to try it. You know, it's a small risk to take. I see a lot of wins that can potentially come out of this if it's organized correctly. And who am I to judge what their capabilities are? I mean, this is a group of very smart individuals that who've got a lot of life experience. And if there's anybody that can make something like this happen, it's seniors. So 6 months is a small commitment. That's my thought.
Are they going to come in at budget time with a request to go on to the next year's budget?
Well, currently we have a third-party request for $1,100 for them. And a third-party request for $1,100. And what they're looking for is some help buying some furniture. And I mean, we have our third-party request from our flower committee, and we hope to buy them stuff. This contributes to the quality of life that our community offers. And, you know, this is what brings people into communities when you have services and organizations that are healthy and they get government support. So
I guess what are we gonna put the $3,600 in for the next year in somebody's budget? Probably yours?
That's to be determined, and,
Okay.
but I just either have to get a yea or an A from the council. I'd like to get a yea or an A from the council for tonight, so I can allow the school department to continue on with their work. I mean, this could fall apart at any given point in time. I think that if we all collaboratively work together on this, then we can make it all happen for them.
I'd make a motion, we go along with this $1,800 request for now and give them our blessings and see how it works. Seems I can go to it.
Motion's made, do we have a second?
I'll second, but I have a question, comment. I sympathize with a lot of what Don says, and it looks like this program is kind of loosey-goosey, but I don't think that we have much. I think we have it on a fairly short leash, and and knowing the people who are involved, I don't think we're going to have a problem. And if for some reason we did have a problem, we wouldn't have to continue the commitment for 6 months. We could make it end. So although I'd like to see it fleshed out a little bit more and know what the program is a little bit more and what they have planned, I guess I'm confident that if something goes wrong, that we can fix it in a hurry. So I second the motion.
Motion's made, second by Bob. Any further questions? All in favor? Item number 6, to obtain directions from council on selling tax-acquired property.
Okay, we have foreclosed on a property on the Middle Road of 41.2 acres. I haven't done anything with that parcel of land yet. I would like permission to go through the normal procedure that we have been using. And, the other thing is, that's a nice piece of property up there. Should the town consider retaining that, we've got another 100 acres that we foreclosed on up on the Oak Street area. Should we consider selling that parcel? There's opportunity out there for public-private partnerships when it comes to home housing. And this stuff, solar energy, there's all kinds of opportunities that lie out there for taxpayers, and I'd like to look or at least consider some of these possibilities. Or if the council doesn't feel as though that's where they want to go with this, then let's get the piece of property sold and get it back on the tax roll.
I think we talked about the piece on Oakland, we were kind of holding off to see what was going to happen with the rail guard.
On the one on Oak Street?
On one on Oak Street.
Yep.
I still kind of feel that that's a possibility of at least using part of that for something up there.
And we certainly can.
I think the property on the Middle Road, we ought to set on just a little while too, to see if there's something we're gonna come up with that we could do with that, or whether we have no use for it.
Okay.
I think it's a valuable piece of property for the town to own right at this time, and we need to do some work on it before we decide to sell it, I think.
There's an old dilapidated mobile home and a garage that needs to come down.
We have the facilities to clean that up.
Yep, very good.
What was the taxes on that property? You just ballpark, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, I've got them right here. $1,317.78 a year. Yep.
Figured typically we're losing $1,300 a year to hold on to it.
Right.
Do you motion on those?
No, we can just hold on to it. We can go into the whole pattern on that, and we can discuss it.
Next item up is a budget advisory vacancy discussion.
Chuck Swigart has sold his home, bought a camper. He and his wife are heading cross country. And we have a vacancy. We had one lady approach us for, she's interested in that, that's Donna Doucette. She was planning on being here tonight, but I'm sure the weather has
She's
up.
right there.
Oh, Donna! How are you?
I'm here.
Make you feel good, you don't even know what to look at.
Yes, I do. You were very happy.
Sorry about that, I didn't see you come in. So I've given you a copy of the town charter that addresses how we act once we have that vacancy. And I don't know if you have that with you or not, but section 703 talks about how if we have somebody that's nominated, the council can vote that person in for a period of 1 year. So she's interested, given that fact. I'm sure she's self-nominating, and actually, I think AJ nominated you.
He probably did.
Yeah, I think it was.
You must not know him.
No. So if you have any questions from Mrs. Doucette, she's sitting right here in the audience.
She was a very hard-working lady on the school department committee, and I think we ought to nominate her for the budget and advisory committee. She'd be an asset to our committee, I'm sure.
Thank you.
She's very careful with her coins.
Do I get a second?
You do?
All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Donna, I will email you a copy of the calendar if you don't already have it.
If you guys don't mind, I'm under the weather. I'll take off instead of spreading germs. How's that?
We'd rather you stay, the whole thing, really.
Donna, if you don't mind,
Because of who's talking, I'm gonna move on.
there's a copy of the calendar right there.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
Maybe discuss the fund balance
What the function is.
policy.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we tabled this discussion for this meeting here, and so we're here again to revisit that. And I know that Bob had a few questions, and one of the questions was to define a rainy day for this money. If the public doesn't vote in the budget on the school department, it puts us into a place where we can't commit on our property taxes, and therefore, we will have a period of time where we won't be getting taxes, and this money comes in quite handy to keep us operating. The other issue, by having a fund balance as high as possible, is when we go up to finance with our banks. Because they certainly look at that, at how to generate the rates of interest that we receive. 10% is a number, like you've heard, that's recommended by our auditor. Currently, we're at 10.4%. This is a policy, and like I said, it's nothing more than a comma in a sentence. It causes us to pause for a second, discuss the policy, and make a decision whether we want to avoid that policy and utilize the money. The money's still going to be accessible, it's just going to take one more step to get to it. We don't know how council will evolve over the years. We may end up with a council that finds it's very beneficial to utilize that to offset property taxes. And it's quite easy to get into that slippery slope, and we start using that. We have a couple of neighboring communities that have experienced that, and now their mill rates have had to increase, and they're trying to get those balances back up. We experienced it with our sewer department. As you know, when we went for the upgrade, we had a $450,000 balance in their fund equity. Instead of increasing the rates, which is what we should have done, we utilized that money to offset those sewer rates. When I took this office 4.5 years ago, I had a balance of $9,000, and we were on the verge of running out of money. So we had to act quickly, and then we increased our sewer rates in order to offset that. That money in that particular account could have been used for infrastructure correction, the I&I, the infiltration. We're paying a lot of money. So quite similar, we could be in the same situation here down the road. We're not there. This is just a safe, and we're looking to put in place. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I mean, we always have, there's always, so far they've been pretty small things, but like the loader, the trucks, motors, we've had issues with motors that were above and beyond what we appropriate for repairs. You never know, we've got a lot of equipment out there on the road that if something happened to it, something catastrophic, we
$100,000 to replace some of that stuff.
So how much do we have in that fund now, roughly?
We got about $2.74 million in that range.
Say again, we have 2
$7.4 million, $2,740,000. That's an approximate number. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
So the 10% or the 10.4% is of not just the municipal budget, but of the municipal and the
So,
the municipal's portion of the school budget, or the whole school budget?
I believe it's the whole thing, the school and the municipal.
Because our budget is something short of 5 million,
Right, right.
and the schools, our share is another 5 million or
Maybe
so.
our- Well, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I should have probably brought them for this discussion. It might not be as high as 2.74 million. But go ahead, Doug.
I think that your number is right, but you're including the funds that are designated, I think.
That's right.
The undesignated one is nearer $1 million,
Yep,
I think.
you're right.
Is what, remember Doug talked about that a little bit a while ago, and we have a whole list of funds that,
Yeah.
so
I
much
remember.
for cemetery, and so much for baseball, and all kinds of different things, but it seems like it was about half and half, that wasn't assigned.
I can go over and get that information if you want, it's right next door.
So if it's like $1 million, let's say it's $1 million, then that is about 10% of what the municipal budget plus the Oakland's share of the school budget is? Is that right? Am I
I think that's right.
5 and 5, sort of? So we're there. So we just,
We're 10.4%.
so we just can't really dip into that money without trying to replenish it in the following year. Okay.
I'd make a motion, we accept this fund balance policy as a guideline for us to go by.
Motion's made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don, thank you. All in favor? Last item before we get into managers' report is obtain council permission to move into a court phase for Mr. Brian Roulette's property up on the South Gate. I know David is here tonight, and if we have any questions, go ahead, Gary.
We've been working very hard on this case, and we've finally got it to the point where we're ready to take it to court. He's done very little to improve the condition of the property. Dave's